fresh under mother cries. Who listen to the fall to the floor?
Hello. Welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to revisit, not revisit, well, kind of revisit, but we have a plain gray box. No markings, nothing anywhere. Let's open it up. And out comes a gray metal box, or a silver, kind of in that same family. Again, no markings whatsoever. A nicely done box. So let's pop it open and see what's inside, and voila! A Caliart Ego. Comes with a spare nib and feed, which is very nice. I think it's excellent packaging. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Kavecos that I have. Very secure in this foam plastic insert. As we pull out the pen, we see a very nice transparent demonstrator, and it's a piston fill. Amazing. I have to say that one of my viewers recommended I get this pen, and they were right. The piston does its normal thing, and you don't feel anything, but as you push it down, you get resistance because the cap is on. Nice airtight fit. That's a lot of ink that it holds. There's been a few reviews of this pen already, so we're going to do more of a visual review. One thing that's nice is when you unscrew it, you'll notice that the cap comes up a little bit and exposes what looks like a pelican design. And lo and behold, inside of the package is a wrench to disassemble it. And you can see here there are two openings here for two O-rings. So I'm impressed. Very impressed for a pen that's $12. Some people said it was under 10, but I can't find it under 10. It's a nice design. I wanted to do a look at this before I did any inking, just to show you the pen as received. The other thing I noticed right away is the cap finial unscrews. Well, it did unscrew. It does unscrew, trust me on that one. I already done it once. So this comes off, the clip comes out. You can easily replace the clip. The clip a little bit tarnished, but yeah, it's easy to clean up. There's a nice O-ring here which seals the cap very nicely. I'm assuming that's going to keep the nib from any drying out. You get a little bit from the air which is inside the cap, but that's to be understood. All in all, I'm quite impressed. You may ask if it posts. Yes, it does. It makes for an extremely long pen. There's no weight change because the cap basically doesn't weigh much at all. The pen overall is very light for a piston filler. Very nice transparent feed and section. I mean, that's beautiful. It's going to be nice when that gets filled with ink, showing the color of the ink, and also you get to see it slosh around inside of it. I've read that this holds about 2+ milliliters of ink, so that's a huge amount of ink. The foam pad is a little instruction pamphlet. There we see the writing in arts. Caliart apparently is the name that they've used to indicate that. A lot of Chinese writing, which I cannot read. If we flip it over, we find a little bit more of an explanatory visual showing the piston fill, showing the removing I'm assuming they're pointing to maybe some lubrication there. Again, it's hard to tell, but it's a nice feature. Again, just shows how complete they are in putting this pen together, giving you some interesting information about it. Nice package, well made, great buy. Reminiscent of the TWSBI Eco. It's also reminiscent of the Wingsung 698. What I find very impressive is that the 698 has some very unique design features, like the way the cap works for the piston filler. The size of these pens are nice, and as you want to put it into perspective, it's not a small pen. Here's a Pelican M800, and they hold their own with the M800. The sections are a little bit thinner, but nothing significant that's going to impair the writing experience. The other thing that's nice to know is the barrel end is one piece, barrel and section, like the TWSBI Eco. So we're going to ink this baby up and see how it writes. I've already cleaned out the feed-in section with ammonia, so it's ready to go. Miss if we wouldn't give homage to the TWSBI Eco, which a lot of the design characteristics on the Caliart are taken from the Eco. So if you just look at it from this perspective, the Eco clip is integrated into the cap, whereas the Caliart is screwed on. I think the advantages of this are a lot greater than if there's anything happens to this clip, you're kind of screwed. You need a whole new cap. This clip, you could take it apart, rebend it, put it back into place. TWSBI has their nice little logo at the top of the cap, so that's a little bit more of an interesting design element. The Caliart really doesn't have a design element, so that's function and not aesthetics. The TWSBI has a nice cap band where the Caliart does not. One can be concerned about cracking, but you know, I don't think that's going to be an issue, but time will tell. Both of them have a very nice large capacity for the piston fill. They're both similar piston activation, even though the design is slightly different, but you know, there's a lot of similarities there with the threads and everything else. As far as a full demonstrator, I don't have a full demonstrator Eco, so I can't really compare like to like. If you take a look at the design of the section and nib, there's a tremendous amount of similarities and also some differences. They're both about the same, but I think where TWSBI has really made their mark is the nibs. You know, that TWSBI nib has a lot of nice tipping material on it. It also comes in a broad, a 1.1. Their feed is a more traditional feed. It's not transparent, so that's something that's different. But I've had this TWSBI Eco now for almost a year, and it's written first time every time. I've let it set for a month, and I don't know whether I can expect the same thing from the Chinese Caliart. Chinese pens are not known for maintaining that type of instant writability. The threads on the Caliart actually feel much nicer than the threads on the TWSBI Eco. The TWSBI Eco has a standard number 5 nib on it, so you could do a lot of different variations on nibs if you wanted to in that pen. So that's kind of like there's similarities and differences, so hopefully you've enjoyed this direct comparison. Give you our fine and extra fine, or 0.38 and 0.5 is seems to be now very common with these Chinese pens. You can see a little bit of difference in the tipping material. I'm going to go with the fine. I'm not really an extra fine person. Looking at this spare nib and feed, you'll notice it's that wing design. So evidently all the pilot nibs will fit well in here. So you got your Plumix, your 78G, your Metropolitan, your Cocoon, So it gives you a lot of versatility, so you can easily replace this with something. And the transparent feed is just excellent. So those of you looking for a transparent feed for your 698, which may not have it, this might fit the bill. I told you that the cap finial unscrews and lets you work on the clip, so just wanted to show you that that's the way that it's put together. Great design, well made, you know, so you get to work on the clip and it tightens up very nicely. It makes for a nice secure clip, and I really like this design. I mean, that can fit over thick fabric, thin fabric, it'll work well. So from that perspective, I appreciate the simplistic design and the great execution in this pen. What ink to put in it? I need a permanent blue, so I'm going to use Legal Lapis. This is a Noodler's ink that's a special with Pandemonium. Sometimes they have it in stock, sometimes they don't. Sometimes Nathan decides to make it, sometimes he doesn't. So let's ink this pen up. Noodler's caps are always done well. As you can see, that's a really nice, it looks kind of bluish green to me, which is interesting. I'm going to be doing a review on teal ink, so again, a nice view of the clear feed section. We're going to take the piston all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to do a fill. The piston feels like there's absolutely no friction whatsoever. So that's your first fill, which is a lot of ink, not necessarily a full fill. So let's bring that back down again. And also I like to always flush the section and feed with a lot of ink. So we'll do our second fill. And that's a little bit further up. I'm happy with that fill. So we're going to cap it and put nib to paper. How that ink looks into the feed and section. Be interesting to see how this shows on the video because the colors coming out on the monitor are a little bit different. And also this is really covered with ink, so we're going to clean that off and see how it writes. Post, and yes it does. It changes the balance a slight bit, but it's a light pen and the cap is light, but it still changes it a little bit. As you can see, it fits well in the hand without posting. So if you need to keep your cap someplace where you know where it is, you can post it, but not something that I would do when I write with it. You know, to me, I would just put the cap aside and use it. Before I actually put nib to paper, I have written with this for a while, so it's not my first experience, but this nib is not going to excite you, bring you to nirvana, you know, bring that satori that you've been looking for into your mind, but it's a day-to-day, everyday writer, and that's what it's designed to be. I love the design, I love the engineering, but from a writing perspective, it lacks character, it lacks individuality. You know, there's nothing to be upset about with this nib, but there's nothing to fall in love with. This is the one that I think in the Wing Sung 698 they call it a soft fine, but soft is not a word I would use to describe this writing experience. I mean, it's smooth. I think you can hear that. For those of you that like to hear the nib on paper, let's give it a shot. I mean, this is Fabriano paper, So it's going to have some feedback. As you can see, it lays down a very fine line if you want. A little bit of pressure and it lays down more ink. So that's what is nice about this pen. So it works as a pen. It's functional. And for $12, it's nice. Ink dries pretty quick, but then this is legal lapis, so I don't think it's meant to be a wet ink. It dries almost instantaneously. So what we have here is another example of the evolution of Chinese fountain pen manufacturing. They see good ideas, they mimic them, sometimes they improve on them. It's a great writing experience. To me, the next evolution from Chinese pens is going to have to be expanding the nib selections, giving you more variety, maybe giving you a medium and a broad every once in a while, and maybe in italics. I love that Knox oblique double broad is a phenomenal nib that I put in a 992. Unfortunately, it won't fit in this pen because this takes those pilot nibs, and there's not a lot of variety. There's a decent amount, but not a lot as you would expect. So, thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed a view of another Chinese pen you may not have been aware of, and one which I think deserves some attention from the pen community. I love the red O-rings they have here on the piston. Again, another nice feature. The fact that it's easy to disassemble, they give you a wrench. Completely clear feed section. It writes well, has good flow. You know, the nib doesn't dry out. I mean, what else can you ask for? I'm certain there's a million things you could ask for, but for the pen community, what else can we ask for? So, again, thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this view of another Chinese pen. I've been on a roll now, and thanks to my viewers that have given me lots of suggestions. I have a bunch more pens on their way to me, which hopefully are as unique and as interesting as this pen. So, may you have many great writing experiences. Enjoy the many varieties of ink, pen, and paper. Until we meet again, bye.